Hey everybody, welcome back to Truck Talk and Time with Jesus. You know, this is the moment that, I tried to put off and not really dig into it so much, but it's showing its ugly self every day out there. And these kids and these young adults are getting wrapped up into this, and this is nothing unordinary that we shouldn't expect, because Revelation speaks of it, and it's not a coincidence that I've been hearing lately that churches are talking about the churches in Revelation and what to expect and what's going on with that. I remember one time down in Florida at a church, and this lady, she was teaching about the churches, and I was out driving, and the Lord gave me a whole big thing on each in particular church. Well, I wanted her to copy this stuff down and get it back, and I never got it back. So in order for me to go back into that, I guess I'd have to go back into prayer and have the Lord give it to me all again. But either way, let me shut this a little bit, because where I'm sitting at, anytime a truck goes by, all I see is a shadow. But anyways, so I'm going to dig into this. Now, I'm going to kind of bounce around a little bit, nothing unusual for what I do, but because I'll probably go back to the house in Copley at times, and I'll probably go to the house when I was 15, going almost 16 at that point, going into that house. I'll probably go back to references on that a few times, and the things that I did after the house, and where my life went in between all that before finally just kind of getting away from it. And amazingly, I'm not even going to say the person's name that sent the message, because I honestly forgot. I'm almost positive they didn't want to be mentioned, but either way, doesn't matter. I'm just going to answer the question. It's not that I ever disbelieved in God, okay? Because I had to hate something, you have to believe in it. I always knew there was something dark in the spiritual realm because I seen it. I lived it. So that never surprised me. Well, the problem was with it was the love. Because when you have family that treats you a certain way, you got strangers that treat you a certain way, and there was no love from anybody but from that household. When we formed that brotherhood, it was clearly a brotherhood. So, you got to take everything with a grain of salt when you hear people that say, I spoke it a lot. You can say, I love you. I used to tell people all the time. I had a girl ask me once, years back, she goes, why do you say I love you to certain people and love you to other people? And I said, because if I put in the I in front of it, that means I hold you in my heart. Just love you, it's just like I would a brother or somebody, a friend or something like that. Yeah, love you too, brother. And that's just how I am. And the weird thing is, I caught myself the other day saying that to my son. Love you. Because there's such a huge gap there now. It's like the Grand Canyon. I'm not even kidding. There's so many things I want to say to him, but I'm done. It's like when you just don't understand, and you don't, and you hear things, but yet, but you still hear the crap that goes on with it. And I disagree about when people say they're godly people and they're truly following God's ways, because first of all, when you falsely accuse somebody, you gotta take that up with the person. And when you smear somebody's name and you bring all this wrath upon them because you're a coward, you know, that's pretty much what it is. You know, you look at Lucifer. You know, his number one category is pride. And then you wonder why we got so many prideful people. You wonder why all these people are out here acting ridiculous and on these marches, but yet when somebody confronts them and brings the Bible into it, they stand there dumbfounded. You know why? Because so many people. I remember children in the household would come against this or talk about this president or this person running for there. And when you ask them why do you feel like that? They couldn't, because they were only going by what they heard. You know, and that's the problem I have with a lot of these videos, like that last video that just posted. That's why I have a lot of problems with people talking about hell. That's why I have a lot of problems when people talk about nonsense they don't even talk about. Like I heard a guy say something about a key, but there's got to be a lock somewhere. Well, hello, bud. If you're in the pits of hell and you're by the gates, the lock's right there. The gates are locked. Jesus locked the gates. Jesus holds the key. He defeated hell. But Jesus defeated the hell, beaten, battered, and destroyed. Straight off that cross, straight into the grave, out of the grave, into hell. In the 3 days that he did that. Because when Mary Magdalene came back to the grave and found out that it was open, and she thought the man that was standing off to the side was the gardener, and he said, "Who then do you seek? Just tell us where you took him." And then when she realized, but what did he say? The most important thing is, do not cling to me yet, for I have been not made new. Which, depending on which interpretation that you're reading. See, there's very crucial parts of the Bible that we got to pay attention to. Just like in the demonic realm. You got to listen to what people are talking. You got to listen to what they're saying to know if it's godly or good. How do you know when you're praying for something if you're truly if God's answering it, or if Lucifer's answering it? If Lucifer's answering it, it's going to seem pleasant. I talked videos back, a couple years back, about the smooth road. Everybody wants to take it. And the road to the left is rocks, and you can't see nothing beyond that. Well, I don't want to walk on that. This road's smooth over here. I'm just going to take it. But then that smooth road ends up the rocks falling over a cliff into the Grand Canyon. Because you did the works, you got through the roughness of it to get to the smooth part. And that's our lives. We got to get through the difficult times to get there. We got to stand in faith. We got to be able to move forward and allow the world's ways to disappear. But too many people aren't doing that. That's where all this saved by grace, once saved, always saved, that's nonsense. It doesn't matter. You can believe what you want to believe. You don't even have to believe in hell. But so many people watch these testimonies, and so many people are going, wow, that's great. Great? Come on. Because they don't understand it. They listen to other stuff, and then they make their own conclusion of what they are. I just listened to a video on the way coming back to where I'm parked at for the night. I just listened to a guy on there, an hour and 10 minutes. Now, I thought I was the only one that rambled on that dang on long, but this guy was really rambling on. And again, I'm not coming against it, but there is nothing that man said that I agreed with. Because he clearly said the gates of hell are open. And he clearly said the gates of heaven are closed. No, the gates of heaven is always open. Gates of hell is closed. You got it backwards, first of all. Then he said that he was abandoned by a family member when he was at a young adult age in his teens. And as he was abandoned, he had nowhere to go. So he would go to different places and get food out of trash cans. And again, I'm not coming against this person, but I'm sitting there thinking, wow, then we got a lot in common, because your life starts to sound a lot like mine. But he said something very interesting into it. He said as a child, he lived in a house where he was abused by his mother's boyfriend. And a lot of the story went on. As it went on, I'm thinking, I'm not calling anybody a liar, people, but I mean, to have that, I mean, I'm not saying nobody else could be that, but the very details were almost set on to what I spoke about, because I lived it. I'm not saying this person didn't live it. But then, like this other person, I mean, I've seen this guy from Randy K all the way down. I've seen him on like 6 different podcasts, and a lot of the stuff doesn't add up. It doesn't. So I don't know. I'm not saying the guy's not telling the truth, but I'm just saying, I told you guys yesterday in that video yesterday, first of all, if you got somebody outside over there when you're going clothes shopping and you leave to go clear on to another part of town, and then you come out again and that guy's there, that should have been your first clue to get rid of the clown that's with you. If it's true. You wouldn't think about getting it, but you're going to take it back, but yet, come on. I don't know, people. I just, my spirit doesn't sit right when I listen to a lot of people's thing on hell. And, and to hear some people talk about, the keys there's got to be a lock. The keys aren't there. The lock's on the gate, and it's locked. I promise you that. I promise you that. I couldn't get out because of the lock. Jesus had to take me out through. I promise you. Them locks are on there. Jesus holds the keys. If you don't believe me, go look at the Bible. The Bible will tell you. It's plain and simple. I mean, there's no going through it. So, let's get into this a little bit. And again, let me pray first. Heavenly Father, I know that you sit on a throne that's untouchable. And Father, I know that you have the power and the authority of all things. Father, I just ask for protection over anybody that comes across these videos. I just ask for protection that none of them tries to do anything to bring a demonic attachment to them. If so, there's their consequence for doing something out of disobedience and out of warning. This is nothing to play around with. This stuff is real, and this stuff will come at you, and it will do bad things. And good luck trying to get it out once it takes up residence. And Lord Jesus, I just thank you for going to the cross. I thank you for taking all sin into the grave and leaving it there. And I thank you for going to the pits of hell and defeating it and taking those keys and moving out of there and preparing and robbing them graves for us, because you took us out of those graves of hell. And we appreciate it, Lord. And as always, Lord, block my tongue, block anything that, and only let me speak of truth or nothing but the truth. Anything else, let it be silent and never heard. And Lord Jesus, you are the Son of God, and I confess this. You are my personal Savior, and I confess you as my personal Savior. I uphold your ways, and I follow your ways. In your most precious, most holiest of all holy names, you are the Messiah. You are the King of Kings. You are my shepherd. You are my friend. And I surrender all this to you. Amen. So that being said, let's dig into this. Okay, we go back into the house in Copley. Growing up and seeing the things that I seen in there, I talked about the demons coming out of there, what it manifests into. What it manifests into as it went up there was a man with red curly hair. That's what they would see. Now you go on later on and you look at these movies. What does the clowns usually have? Red color hair or something, some face looking thing. Doesn't surprise me, does it? I mean, it should not surprise you. Doesn't surprise me. That's what I meant to say. I don't know what I said, but I know it wasn't that. But, so, I got to a point even when I was playing. I'd watch figures move. I'd watch army men be moved around. I'd watch my tanks move. And it was nothing out of the unnormal childhood, because Actually, I kind of liked it sometimes because I had nobody really to play with. My sister that's passed away now, I'd get all my stuff out. She'd go, well, let's play this. And I would do everything she wanted. And when it come down time to, and I get everything set up, she'd leave. You took too long. Oh, you're the one who wanted to play this. I didn't want to do this. But it didn't matter because I'd still play with it. But I got used to it. I got used to, that was my first, I never believed my sister Robin. I honestly never believed her because she always told me so much stuff that was never true. But the sad part of it is I always stuck up for her, and I always made sure that no matter what, I would do the best I could by her. Especially when she got pregnant and ended up having a child. But and then funny thing is I helped all them out, and one by one, they all turned on me. It's sick. But the girl still has the job that I helped her get, and I helped her keep, because they were going to fire her. And look at her. Look at her today. Unbelievable. You end up right back to where you started. God has a funny way of doing that. See, the building she's in now is the building that I spent years in, putting my sweat, tears, and blood into that place. No, I'm not angry about it. I'm just saying half the family worked there, and they all wrote letters about me. They had no clue how many hours I put in at nighttime. They had no clue how many hours I put in when they would call off, and I didn't get paid for none of that stuff. None. But people seem to forget those things, So let's go. Let's bounce out of the house of Copley for a brief moment, because there's a lot of things that took place that make sense of why I end up where I am and what goes on and the very things that I'm able to see. Now remember, I told you in the house of Copley when that man beat me so bad, and the blood and all that stuff that was coming out, no matter what I did, even with the salve and stuff on there, it's kind of hard when you go to pull a shirt off and that stuff dries. It hurts. That hurts worse than I think sometimes the beating. And then it was almost like, I'm not even for sure what my mom put on my back sometimes. It's like, then I go to school and it's not like I could sit back in the seats because it hurt. And my mom always told me, don't tell anybody. They'll take you. But I didn't want to go nowhere. So it scared me. As a young child, I was scared pretty much of everything. I would see things, I'd hear things. I would hear movement, I'd hear chairs moving, I'd hear the voices. I feel the hands coming across your chest. The shaking of the thing, pulling the blankets off you. You look down over the bed, and you'd see them, see their hands. I'd hear the girl down in the basement calling my name all the time. One day I came home from school, and I couldn't find my Star Wars figures. I looked everywhere. And I heard the basement door open. Now, granted, nothing I had under the bed was ever touched, because I had that what I called the glow man. It was a statue of Jesus that would glow in the dark. Go figure that, huh? He's the light. Go figure. It would glow in the dark. But I had that Han Solo Chewbacca under the bed with me. And the army men and stuff lined up, and I had all my stuffed animals on the other side lined up. So, to make, but then when I walked over there, and I seen C-3PO standing at the top of the stairs, looking down with his hand out like this, I looked down there and there's the case. And on every step, there was a figure going down. Now you're talking about freaked out and scared. I'm a young boy. I know what's down there. And And the whole time I could see her shadow moving. Because I'd go so far down, I was able to grab the figures. And I'd throw them into the kitchen. Now, all the weapons and stuff was in the case, because in that holding case, there was a little door-looking thing that you'd pop open, and you could put all the weapons and stuff down in there and lock it. Well, not lock it, but shut it, and they wouldn't fall out. So I got all the way halfway down to where I was able to see, and I'd see her hand, like, go across, and I would move my foot back up, and go back up, and go back up. Didn't matter, because she could come right up them steps. I always was so frightened that one day she was going to come all the way up behind me and shut that door, and I'd be stuck down there. Like the time when my sister locked me in that fruit cellar part in the basement. There was like shelves in there, and I guess there was like a sink thing in there, so I guess they canned vegetable, whatever they did in there, I don't know. But it looked like when I got older, I remembered that kind of stuff, and people that would can vegetables and stuff in the jars. I mean, matter of fact, if I remember right, I think there was actually some jars of stuff in there. I was always really weirded out by that stuff. I don't even know if we ever ate the stuff. I don't know. It could have been my grandma, because I think my grandma used to can jar up stuff too. But I don't know. I really don't know. I just never wanted to go there. And that time my sister locked me in there, it was horrible. And in this, I've never told anybody what I'm about to tell you. And I was screaming. I was beating on the door. And I heard my sister out there laughing. And I heard her say something. And I said, "Robin, what'd you say?" And I didn't hear her no more. But I heard her like gasping. And she's like, I'm sorry. I can't, I'm trying. I said, "Rob, just open the door, let me out." And right behind me, I felt this hand come up from behind me and pull me back. It just kept pulling me back. And I'm reaching for the door, and I'm shaking the door. I'm trying to, because it had one of these latches, like, would come into the eye hook, and the latch would come down, but it was on a bar, but it was like kind of, I don't know, I can't even do it. Anyways, it came straight out and then hooked down. And you just latch it onto that latch. Well, I was trying to pull the handle and jerk it up and down as much as I could, thinking I could bounce that lever out of there and get out. Next thing I know, I'm standing there, and I turned around, and I seen my sister standing there. Now, for a split moment, I didn't pay that much attention to the whole body. I just looked at the face and the upper part of the body, and I ran over and I grabbed a hold of her, and I was saying, "Don't leave me in here." And then it dawned on me. I was like, "Well, how'd you get in here?" The door's open then, and I'm trying to turn the knob, and I heard her laughing. And then when I did, I just jumped back against the door. Next thing I know, Robin's opening the door, and I fell backwards out of there. But I remember the words that she said. And I remember what she said. And I'm telling you right now, I bolted. I don't even know if Robin was still down there or if that was something else. I bolted the heck up them steps, and I didn't look back. And it was the same thing with the Star Wars stuff. My mom was up in the kitchen. Now, here's the weird part. I never trusted anything, because I'm thinking, how the heck did my mom not hear what was going on? And when I went up here, I said, "Mom, somebody put my stuff down in the basement. Can you help me get it?" And she said, "In a bit." That's all she kept saying, "In a bit." I said, "Mom, answer me. Stop saying that. Please help me get my stuff. Can you go down the steps and stand at the bottom so I can get these?" And she said, "In a bit." And she finally turned around, and I was standing by the steps, and the door was, I kind of had the door like this, and she grabbed a hold of the top of the door, and she pushed me back, And she told me to stop being so scared. She grabbed a hold of me, and I thought she was literally going to throw me down the steps. And I started crying, and at that point, I felt the release, and I turned around, and I watched my mom come walking from the living room, her bedroom area where the bathroom and all that stuff was, walking through there, and asked me why was I crying, screaming. I didn't want to tell her. I just seen somebody look like her, exactly like her, was trying to throw me down the stairs. And she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Somebody put my toys down there." And my mom just looked at me, and she went down the steps. And as she did, I grabbed them off the steps, and I brought them back up, and I ran back up the steps. And I'm gathering all the ones there, and I'm like putting them, I had my shirt balled up, and I was shoving them down into my shirt, like holding it, like making a pocket, and dumping them in there, and I'm holding it close with one hand. When she gave me the case, I ran to my room. I heard her shut the door. That door would open all the time. I would go in the kitchen to get something, and you'd hear it. I hated that. I hated it. But the change of events, of the things that started happening as a young boy, all that stuff, all that hatred, and all that stuff starts entering around you. And that's when I started noticing the one particular demon and what that demon was capable of doing. That demon's like a copycat type thing. Like when you trace something and people, "Oh, I drew this." "No, you didn't. I watched you trace it." "No, I didn't." "Yeah, I just literally watched you trace it with tracing paper." Or you take silly putty back in the day, and they come in them the eggs, and you peel it out and stick it on there, and then you stretch it out, and their faces look all funny. That's exactly what this thing was capable of doing, because it watches. That's its job. That thing was assigned to me from a young boy. That thing knew me better than I knew myself. It knew my likes, dislikes. It knew what I was terrified of. And let me tell you something right now. Fear is the worst thing to have when demonic presence is there, because they feed off of fear. Fear makes them stronger. The more fear they get, the more they can manifest. The more that you mock these things and you make a mockery of it and you make light of it, you are opening portals that you don't even understand. When you start playing with Ouija boards and you start playing with tarot cards and you start lighting candles and doing seances, the problem is with lighting candles. First of all, you have 12 different candles in the demonic realm. 12. How many people's probably sitting here right now going, "Excuse me?" How many of you that's stumbling across this right now that play around with these seances and you light a candle and you don't even know which candle you're lighting? Because red represents something, pink represents something, green represents something, silver represents something, gold candle represents something, blue candle represents... I can go down the line, people. I know what the candles represent. I know what they mean. I know which candle to give you strength. I know which candle you can light that gives you that meditation, that gives you that power. People called me a liar. No way you lift that kind of weight. You're not that big of a person. And I agree. I totally agree. Because let me tell you right now, I'd have to start off as a young boy and continue to work out every day and maintain an everyday workout to lift that kind of weight. But I did testify. If you listen, I went back the next day and tried to budget. I couldn't even budget. I was working out like a freight train. I was benching on a good day about 265 pounds. But I did it every day. Could I do it now? Probably not. I'd be lucky if I could bench 100 pounds these days. I wasn't doing it all. That's the thing. the demonic was. How many times did you hear me mention in videos, even in the hell video, I called upon the beast to do it. I learned from a young age how to do this. That's why I say when people say what they say about me, you have no idea what a monster. You don't even have the rights to call me a monster because you wasn't around me when I was a monster. People, I had strength like you wouldn't believe. And again, I'm not bragging on this, so don't go thinking you're going to pull out a candle and light it. Because don't be go looking up this stuff. Because you go looking up this stuff, you're opening portals. And when you open a portal and you ain't strong enough to get through it, they will control you. And if you think hell is a joke, wait till you get there. It ain't a joke no more. You won't be laughing. All these hard criminals and all these people that are so demonic possessed, half of them don't even have their own spirit anymore. Half their spirit's locked in hell. They done took over that body. You know, the skinwalkers, what we call the skinwalkers. You watch so many TV shows, you watch so much of this garbage, you don't even realize how true this stuff is. But I will tell you one thing about hell. Let me get something to drink. People ask all the time, Nelson, how come people talk about these tunnels in hell and the depth and these big pits? Well, there is pits, but it's not like what you think. A pit that goes on forever. First of all, you got to understand something. Revelation speaks of the new kingdom being lowered down back onto earth. Everything will be wiped off of here. Hell, there's a ring of fire. Just picture the world and picture a ring of fire going all the way around it. Picture hell on the back skirts of that. You picture the abyss is on the back part of that. So if that's on the back part of that, so it's going to be Lucifer, the people in hell, the demons, that ring of fire, and the new kingdom. That fire is going to separate. The same as them gates. The same as everything separates it now. That's why I said any Christians, there's a special place for them. They're going to be the ones from the ring of fire coming back so far. But don't think they're going to escape off. No, they're going to be tortured too, people. But they're going to be front row center and watch heaven. People behind, all the way behind them, ain't going to see it. Because it's going to be them people, the one crying out. Oh Lord, forgive me. Oh, I've seen it, people. I've heard them. I've heard them crying their pathetic cries. But I also brushed up against them and I got to see exactly what they've done on earth. There's many people I bump into today, shake their hand, I got to turn my head because I can't even look at the nonsense that these people have done. This is why when I start listening to people talk about hell, I get very tuned into it. I told you, I've been to 3 gates in hell. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to tell you what's on the back of these pillars as you walk through. The very first one, the one that I entered in, coming in from when I first hung myself. 2 upside down crosses. But at the very bottom, the tip is red. And underneath that drips. And the saying under that says, for the blood couldn't even keep you. Now I had to understand this because I'm thinking, what do you mean the blood couldn't even keep you? Meaning they couldn't surrender to the one that paid the price and his blood was shed. Jesus. The blood couldn't even keep you because it wasn't enough. Jesus wasn't enough. You had to have the world's ways. You had to have your fleshly desires. You know, you go down the list and you start off at the top with Lucifer, and you come down the sixth demon, the number 6 demon under. So basically, he would be the 5th one under Lucifer. But if you count Lucifer as 1 and you come down to the 6th, guess what demon that is? Some of you are probably sitting there going, I don't even want to guess. Some of you are probably wanting to turn this off. Why? Does this hell bother you that much? Is it the fact that it bothers you when I'm speaking, or is it the fact that you may end up there that you don't like? Because a Christian, one that truly walks in faith, knows they're not going there. But how do you fight spiritual warfare if you don't know what it's like? How do you explain to someone what they're going to if you won't listen to it? You have to understand the realm to fight the realm. You go toying around with something, some kind of demon that's walking around in somebody else's skin. If you go toying around with that, you don't know how many demons are in that spirit before you try to remove that spirit. You could be in trouble yourself. This ain't no Hollywood movie where you take water in there and tell them it's holy oil and splash it on them and they start screaming. These demons are not stupid. They're very powerful. They know what they're doing, and they know how to do it. Think about the legions that was in the man, and Jesus come walking. What do you want with us, Son of Man? Jesus immediately told them to be silenced because it wasn't his time yet. It wasn't his time to be exposed yet. Silence, silence. Finally, don't cast us back to there. Cast us into the swine. So Jesus granted them that. He cast them into the swine. The swine took off, jumped over the cliff, went down and drowned it. The demons ended up right back into hell any dang on ways. So what does that tell you? A demon doesn't even want to go back to hell. You know, these demons, when they're down there torturing you, it's a satisfaction. It's a high to them. You know, as everybody's out here smoking marijuana and doing these drugs, laughing and carrying on, jumping in and out of bed with different strangers, and all you're doing is telling God he's not worth it. You know, everything that we do as a husband and wife that's married, everything you do in that romantic part of your relationship, it brings a fragrance to God. When we do good works and we lift it up to him and we lift it up under his son to Jesus, he gets a fragrance from that. When we're reading the Bible, fragrance from that. When you're talking to him, he gets a fragrance from that. When you're helping other people less fortunate than you, a fragrance for that. God, we lift up so many different smells to God that pleases him. Same thing in the demonic realm. Lucifer loves fear. Lucifer loves pride above fear. See, Lucifer doesn't need your fear. Lucifer's capable of doing whatever he wants. For now, he goes to the Father. But when the rapture comes, Lucifer is set free. What do you think's going to happen? When he no longer has to get permission. What do you think he's going to do? Oh, I feel sorry for you. Because the very things I talked about, you being slung across a room, or bed shaking, or cars wrecking, or whatever the situation that's in your life at that particular moment, it's going to happen to you. You're going to know what it's like to not take food. If you can't survive now, and you're not strong enough now because you're weak-minded, you're not going to be able to survive without taking the chip or taking the mark of the beast. Once you do that, you sign your name over to Lucifer. Your name no longer exists in that book of life. And if you think it's a joke, then please explain to me why Lucifer doesn't go up and confess and end up back in heaven. You know why? First of all, he's too damn prideful. Second of all, his kingdom, he thinks it's bigger than God's. Just like the Lord says, I do not know them. I only know the ones that my Father gives me. Well, who are those people? Those are the people that are doing the right way. Those are the people that are trying very hard. You know, when you wake up, if you're watching this video tomorrow, and tomorrow will be Tuesday, the 27th, I believe, or whatever. Let me see. 28th. And you wake up on the 29th. When you're waking up, which would be Wednesday, the 29th, when you're waking up, and you wake up in the morning, your day is without sin. Think about it. You just woke up, it's a brand new day. Yesterday, you go back and think, did I sin? Did I have a bad thought about someone? Did I talk ill about someone? Did I misplace something or blame somebody and falsely accuse them? Whatever it is, sin, 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 whatever sin it is. Tomorrow, I learned from what I did. And I ask Jesus to help me, send angels to guard me, so I don't repeat those things that I have to repent from. Because the idea is not to repent every day. The idea is to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger to where you can live a sinless day. It is possible. If it means taking everything out of your life, whether it's family, people, friends, work, whatever it may be, I would rather live back under that bridge in a trash can than risk my life going back to hell. And that is the truth. May God strike me down dead if I'm not telling the truth. I'm that serious on it. I've worked in haunted houses, people. I built scenes in haunted houses. You can look up the haunted laboratory and the haunted schoolhouse in Akron, Ohio on Triple Boulevard. I built a lot of scenes in that place. The Texacoil downstairs. I put part of the tunnels and stuff together. I did some of the scenes on the second and third floor. There was some weird stuff that would go on in that place when I was in there by myself cleaning and doing stuff. Weird stuff. Doesn't surprise you know. You play around with demonic. But then again, it never bothered me. Isn't it funny how some people watch The Exorcist and then all of a sudden you visualize something in the corner of your room and you freak out, you cover yourself up? Well, let me tell you right now, you can't cover yourself up from a demon. They're just going to rip the blanket off you and just grab a hold of you and toss you around because you already started bringing fear. You already opened that fear of energy for that to manifest itself off of. Because let me tell you what they're going to do to you in hell. Let me tell you what fear is going to give you in hell. Because when you start screaming, you have fear, they're just going to suck it in like an aroma, like you're walking in on Thanksgiving and smelling the turkey. And the next thing you know, you see the ugliness of them. You see these demons walking at you. You see them marching up to you. Now, I've heard Lucifer's got scales, horns. I don't know where they get this nonsense. Lucifer does not have horns. He does not have scales. He does not have a tail. Lucifer is none of those things. None. Sorry. And I don't mean to break somebody's testimony of something down, but get it right. Because it's not true. I've heard demons are 19 foot tall. 10 foot tall. I've never seen no damn demon that tall in my life. In my whole life of in and out of satanic realms and stuff, I've never seen a demon that tall. Not saying it's not true. I've never seen one. Ever. I told you, I think the tallest one I seen was maybe close to 7 foot. Might have been a little bit over 7 foot, but that's about the extent of it. If there is those type of demons, I'd like to know where they're at in hell because I've never seen them. Yes, I've seen some with some very long nails. I've seen some of them with vicious fangs. And I've seen, those are the ones that I call the razor teeth. Because when they grab a hold of you and they just grab a hold, they take their fingernail and take it right across and make a slit, and then they take their teeth and bite down on that slit and just peel your skin back piece by piece by piece. And as everything's flowing through you, oh, that's right, there's no blood in hell either. You need to look around the floors when you're down in hell. Some of these people, when they're claiming to go back into hell, and they're claiming that they went back into hell and they're doing, then you need to look on the floor. You need to look at those tables. There's plenty of blood in hell. I know what I've seen. The end times, you're going to go straight into hell if you're left here on earth. So let me get this right. Your blood's going to drain. Somebody's going to drain your blood and all that, and you're going to go over there. If that's the case, then you wouldn't feel anything. And I'm not saying blood is you wouldn't have a heartbeat. You wouldn't have anything. Because you got that electricity that flows through you. You start taking blood. You stop the heart from beating. What else is next? I know for a fact I bled in hell. I know for a fact when I got my ear ripped almost completely off there, blood was coming all down my face. I could taste it. It was burning my tongue. I know when they grabbed a hold of my nose and pulled my nose almost completely from my face and stuck their fingers completely up in there. I literally felt like they were touching my brain because I felt my eyes and stuff twitching. They grabbed a hold of my tongue and split my tongue. For something that didn't have no blood, I sure did bleed an awful lot. Explain that one. I still got the scars to prove it. How do you justify it? Am I a liar? I wish I was. I honestly wish everything I've seen is a bad dream. I've literally watched skin being peeled. You ever get a sunburn and your skin starts peeling and you're brushing it off? But just picture them doing that, but just peeling layers at a time, like you would an onion. You can see the veins. They grab a hold of your veins and they start stretching your veins, and with that horrible laughing, and they stand over top of you, and they put their claws into you, and the next one's clawing you and starting to pull you backwards. And your arms are stretched all the way back. And you can't go any further, and all of a sudden you hear this snap, crackle, and popping because they're breaking your rib cage as they're pushing in on you, and they're standing up on top of you, looking down at you and beating down in your face. And this drool and all this stuff comes from their mouth, and it drips all over your face, and it feels like it's burning you. Well, that's just the beginning, people. That's just the holding cells. That's not even the torture centers yet. There are different rooms in there. Yes, I told you I was in a cell, and people said, well, there's doors, and there's no need to have you in a locked room. You can't leave. You're so terrified you wouldn't walk out that dang on door if you tried. Because you feel safe in that little cubby hole that you're in. Things seem to be so big. Darkness. Well, it's like you got infrared sight. Some people say, well, you can't see in hell. Oh, yeah, you can. You got so much dang on fire and stuff all around you. You can see plenty. Especially when you get to the room where the clock is. And it ticks, ticks, ticks. That sound drives me crazy still today. That is the worst feeling I've ever heard, besides the crying and the wailing out. That's the room where you see a lot of people coming in there and the powder's all over their face when they're entering in there. But then you see their teeth starting to grow again and they're grinding their teeth again. Because it hurts them so bad what they've just been through. And I told you, pain doesn't disappear. Your body parts will it will restore itself, but the pain, it builds on top of pain, on top of pain. Every pain you go through, everything you go through, if they break your fingers, they rip your fingers, if they break your face, rip your jaws parts, that's a new pain. That pain adds on to the fingers. They rip off your fingernails. You know what's amazing? We went walking one time down in Florida and I had these water shoes on. And somehow, I don't know what happened, but my left foot got some kind of fungus on the toenails. And they would the nail would swell up so bad. And I'm not going to tell you, but it stunk. I literally could grab a hold of my toenail and just peel it backwards and rip it loose from the skin. And it felt good because all that release and all that nastiness would come out of it, but it stunk so freaking bad. But you know what the funny thing about it is? I got thinking about it one night, because you think about your toenails and stuff and your fingernails, whatever that piece is that goes around there, that when they do nails and stuff, they put it in there or whatever. But you think about it, it gets tucked in underneath there into your skin. Now I'm telling you, I just grab a hold of and tear it and rip it off. You know why? Because I got so used to that crap happening to me. How many people talk about this? You don't even have an idea what hell is. I seen a man with horns, Lucifer, coming up next to me, and let me tell you right now, Lucifer is so subtle, so calm, so peaceful. When anything happens, when you sin on earth, if you listen closely enough, when you sin on earth and you do a sin and you fall to your knees and you start crying, I shouldn't have done this. If you listen real careful, you'll hear a laughing. That's Lucifer. Now, what would you think if I came up to you and I made you, let's just say, push somebody down and make fun of them and throw stuff on them and rip their clothes off, take pictures and put it on the internet, and everybody's watching this? What would you? And then all of a sudden, you snap back out of it, and then you look at what you've done and you fall to your knees. What would you do if I reached over, leaned over you, and just started laughing at you? You'd be mad. You'd be angry at me. You know you would. Somebody's laughing at you after everything you just did to someone. If you could honestly answer that question and say, yes, Nelson, I would be really kind of mad for you to do that to me after I'm doing that, and now I'm feeling bad at what I did to someone. I want you to remember that every time you do a sin, because that's what Lucifer's doing. He's laughing at you, and his very words is, too easy. Too easy. See, the problem is Lucifer glued phones to our hands and removed the Bible. Technology he puts in our hands and removes everything else away from us. Fast, 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 fast. Fast food restaurants ain't fast enough. Now we got drive-up things at grocery stores. You just call it in, go in there, pick it up, and then you're complaining. How many of you have used those drive-up service and complained because there's 16 cars sitting there, and you're complaining because you are told to come there at a certain time and it's taking them longer? And you're sitting out there on your phone, and you're doing all this stuff. Complain, 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 complain. The devil loves for you to complain. You know why? Because God doesn't like it. How many of you are really thinking about how much you complained about today? Man, my car is running funny. tired of this piece of crap. And then your car breaks down, then you're mad about that because you don't have the money to fix it. Or you have to figure a way how you're going to get to work. Or you got to figure out how you're going to get to a grocery store or any of your appointments that you need to go to. Now you're asking people to come pick you up and you don't like that. So now you're complaining against that. And then you see the trend of events. You see how the devil leads you down a pathway of complaints. The more you complain, the happier Lucifer is. The more demons you're allowed to come into your life, the happier Lucifer is, because it's harder to get. It's not so bad to try to remove one, but if you start having one, you understand every demon, every top demon. Picture a pyramid and picture every block in that pyramid. Think of stones. And you start at the top, there's one block. You start at the bottom, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, there's 10, there's 11, whatever. It just keeps going all the way down, them rows. And how many blocks go across? Well, you wouldn't really know. But now you think about every one of those blocks represents 1,000. So if you start at the top, you got 1. Every block under that is 1,000. And you follow that all the way down, how many demons do you think you now have? Because when that one demon leaves, and you cast it out and it comes back, it brings 7 more with it. There's 8 demons now, that each one of those demons at least has 1,000 demons that's attached with it. Now you wonder why so many people are acting stupid the way they're acting out here. And I say stupid because it is stupid. When you follow the devil's ways, it's stupid. You're so dang on confused because a man hurt your feelings and a man hurt you, and then you end up sleeping with a woman. Or somebody cheats on you. Then you go and cheat. Or you get the people that just so provocative out there, and you wonder why people are getting raped. Because of the spirit of lust. There's a demon. Just nothing but lust. Very powerful demon. Very powerful. One of the ones that you can light a candle with and go there into the chance. You know what's more powerful? When you start taking certain combinations of candles and you put them together. And light them suckers. You have no idea what you're doing. You know the Ouija board, we all know what a Ouija board is. We all know the little triangle. Again, not a coincidence that it looks like a pyramid, a triangle, devil's triangle. Not a coincidence that we say there's the devil's triangle out there in the ocean. Stuff flies over it, falls in there. Bermuda Triangle. Not a coincidence when you see these movie stars and stuff sticking their tongue through it. You know, in that plastic centerpiece in the middle, and it's got that little tiny line there, so when it moves, you can see what letter it's on because of that little tiny slit. Well, let me tell you, that's plastic. Let me tell you, when you get into the spiritual realm and you start making your own. See, that's the stuff I started doing in the house when I was in my teens. I started learning from the best witches and the best warlocks, the highest of the highest ranks of warlocks and witches. There's a certain candle you can light that represents the wind, certain one you can represent that you light that represents the sun, the earth, and wind. Do you think all this stuff that's going on is a coincidence? You think volcanoes erupting, you think avalanches, you think the wind in the sky and all the things that they're making, their clouds, they're bringing in these planes now, they're flying through and making clouds, and people are saying, oh, it's just from a plane went by, whatever that after stuff is that comes out of the plane, and it spreads out and it disappears. They're going to start doing this more and more. They're going to claim it is to keep the world cool because the sun, you know, the ozone layer and all this stuff. Really? How much more deceived can you get? You know, when I was in that house, and, you know, the crazy thing about it is, once you get to a point, you don't need to light candles. You don't need the herbs. You don't need the crystals. Some of you are probably saying, what? Exactly. Everything has a plan. Everything has to be set a certain way. You start looking at these people, like I said, with the makeup on, you start seeing the ones that got the piercing snapped right in there. That means something. You're not dealing with just an ordinary person anymore. Look at the ones you'll start seeing the red come more and more. And the more of the red they got on them, the red lipstick, the red underneath and the red over top, the markings and stuff in there, it's different levels. When you start taking your blood and you start making your own triangle to play foolish games, God help you. Because you're going to enter in something you're probably not even strong enough to get out of. I hear these people saying they're in gangs and these people were in the satanic realm and they escaped. You understand, a satanic realm and devotion into that Illuminati and that demonic realm, there's a price to pay. Luckily, I didn't have to die and stay there. I don't deserve to be here, people. But out of the grace of God. That's why I have a problem with somebody who says, well, I'm in God's grace. You don't even know what God's grace is for you to even talk such craziness. You should think about your words. Some of you people are so dang on educated, but yet you don't even think about the words that you say. You take it lightly. You are one of the very ones that when you commit sin, I want you to think of a whip in your hand and Jesus' blood being shed. Because so many people that goes around and saying, well, Jesus was a spirit when he came back. Really? Then how did Thomas touch him? How did he eat? I guess he didn't have blood no more either. People don't even know what you're talking about. Half these people don't. The fact is, you look at the way the devil's realm is why I say this. Outside of everything you see is the devil's playground. He's taking your children, he's taking your spouses, he's taking everything out of your lives because he's doing it because people are allowing it. Your children are acting up the way they're acting up. Your children are killing themselves. Your children are running into these places. And people are going in there and doing bad things to them. Let me tell you something. All the things I've ever did in my life, I never once raped anybody. Ever. I never forced myself on anybody. Nor would I ever. I have seen things that it's disgusting. I have watched things happen to people in this house that is terrifying. Y'all remember that little boy I talked about that was sold into that house? You don't understand the pain that I go through when I watch what they did to that poor little boy. And I stood by and I didn't do a damn thing about it. And I'm talking some sick. It's the stuff that haunts me. And how dare somebody ever tell me that I could do something like that to anybody. Even then, I was protected by the blood of Jesus Christ. I didn't know it, but I was. Because if you go back and you think about when I entered in that house, Sir gave me an exact set of rules that I had to follow by. And when I broke the rules and I went down that basement, I disobeyed. That's why Lucifer said, come. No, let him come. Even Sir then tried to get me out of there. I left that little boy. I left him. Today he's dead. They took him into hell. And you people play around like this is some joke. One thing that I am grateful for, when I do go into heaven and I'm in them visions and I get to talk with Jesus and I get to sit up there and I get to sit in the garden, I don't have to have memories anymore of this place. I don't have to relive things that I did. Everywhere I went was hatred. Everywhere I went, somebody done something to me. You know what it's like to get rocks thrown at you? You know what it's like to be beat up by people? People make fun of you. People push you down. No one wanted to play with you. I felt like an outcast my whole life. But I felt love from them demons. People, I was powerful. And this is nothing to brag about. I hated the things I did. I poured myself into these potions. I poured myself into this hatred. And I became an evil, evil entity. I go by that house today and it puts shivers down my spine. I relive things that I asked God to take from me. And I ask Him to forgive me again for the things that I've done on this earth. You know what it's like to have to stand up there and speak about your mother because nobody else would. The very mother that allowed the things that happened to you. You know what it's like to stand up there a few months later and to speak about your father that tossed me through walls, threw me off of roofs, beat me, broke my ribs, broke my noses on numerous occasions, cut the back of my head open. And I stood there and I took every bit of it. You know what it's like to have your children come against you and say the wicked things, and then receive messages that someone's going to come and beat you up. And I think about what I said. I'm coming home. Where do you want to meet? Because I started getting angry. And I started allowing the evil thoughts. The amazing part about it all is what scared me the most. It's when I jumped up out of the bed and I stood solid on the floor. And after I called out Jesus, I fell down to the ground. And this was my nephew. If I would have been in town, I'd tell him what would have happened. And I've been thinking about this for over a week. Like the devil's laughing at me. And all these people want to sit here and talk about hell and talk about the things that they seen, but they can't talk about anything else but what somebody else has already talked about. I wish Randy K would do a Q&A on some of these people and allow people to start asking questions. And I wish Randy K would bring me there and let me sit there because I really want to hear their answers. Because this stuff is the stuff that haunted me. You start asking them about candles and they have no idea. You start asking them about the demonic realms, how things work. They talk about hell. But do you ever notice they talk about, I've seen the torture chambers in there where the people that rape people. I talked about it in my hell video. I talked about it with Randy K's hell video. Tearing them body parts off and shoving them up inside of them. And why these demons are doing things to them with their body parts. And you can hear them screaming. You can hear these women screaming. Let me tell you something, people, about abortions, that you think it's your body, your rights. It is. You have rights. It is your body. Stop playing around then. Stop jumping in a sack with everybody. Because you realize what you don't realize is everybody's assigned an angel. And when that angel has to take that fetus and she's weeping all the way back into the kingdom with her head held down because that was her sole responsibility to guard that child. Let me tell you what you're going to see in hell. You're going to see that fetus that you're aborting. If you've done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, and you did not repent, and you go into hell, you're going to eat it. They're going to shove it down your throats. It's not going to be so funny then. You're not going to stand out there and ask for your rights then. You murderer. Why is it that you could kill a child, but yet a mother goes out there and kills her child? She's a murderer. What difference is it? You might as well light the candles. You might as well put the senses down. You might as well put the potions down. You might as well put the crystals in and do what the crystals need to do. And I'm not even going down that avenue. You might as well go do it all. Because you are no different than the demons. None. What about these women out there that want a child and can't have a child? And they make adoption so difficult and so freaking expensive. They want people to become foster parents and adopt children, but it costs so freaking much money. But instead, you'd rather let them sit and rot. You ever think about all these people that are coming over from the border and they have phone numbers and they got names and stuff that they disappear because all they can do is call, hey, are you expecting a person? Yeah, okay, fine, there, go ahead. And then they sell them off to sex trafficking. As soon as them people grab a hold of these children, they pay the people. Bravo. Let's bash Trump some more. Because he wanted to put a wall up. He wanted to beef up security. Where's all the children and women that came over here? Where the heck they all at? Yeah, Texas shipped them up to Washington, D.C., shipped them up to New York, shipped them over here, there. You notice the places by bodies of water? Anybody think about this? Putting them on the boats and selling them off. Sick people. It's all evil. And then you got these statues that they move from place to place to place. It's got the horns. It's got the goat's face on there. It's got the human body. There's so much involved with that. But let me tell you one thing. When you're standing in hell and you walk up to that fire and you want to go through it, there's no way you can even make it through it because it seems to widen itself. It seems like it's like this, and then when you go to put your hand through it, it starts to get wider and wider and wider and wider and wider and wider and wider. There's no way you'll make it through it. That's that hopeless feeling I talked about. You just feel so damn hopeless. And honestly, you don't even care anymore what's going to happen to you. You don't. had a demon pick me up and drag me across these coaly fires, these rocks with sharp edges on them, hitting my back, ripping my back open. No blood, though. Right. My head hitting. And the one coming up behind him was putting its foot right down on my head, stomping on it every time. You know what it's like to get your skull cracked open? See right here? Look right there. See it? That's my fingernail. When I was in the house. Young boy. Because I disobeyed a rule. You know what it's like to get your forehead split open. He wasn't allowed to go to the hospital. No. The witches took care of you. I forgot to mow the lawn one day. Oh yeah, we had chores. I was tired. I went up here, took a shower, went to bed. I got drugged. Down the steps, outside, tossed on top of the lawnmower, drugged back in the house. They held me down. And let's just say, it's something I'll never forget. Because I forgot to mow the lawn. See, but let me tell you what Lucifer was doing. Pushing me deeper and deeper and deeper. Because the more things happened, the more I started lighting candles, the more I started using the potions, the more I started getting more powerful. And the more hatred I had. I told you that day that boy was running down through there, was scared for his life. I had no idea them boys were chasing him because hard telling what they were going to do to him. Maybe sacrifice him. I still today could not tell you if they sacrifice people or not. I know they sacrifice animals. And I know they hung them suckers upside down and let the blood just drain. You can see where they're barely moving because all that blood rushed down there, and they slice the damn throats and lay under it, and the blood would just shower them. They'd chant, scream, grab the blood off the face of the person laying there, and it'd puddle up on their chest, and they're licking all over each other. It kind of bothers me a lot when I hear people say they built altars and they're talking to Lucifer. That this is what you want to go and do? Look at the Illuminati. Look at their special rooms that they have. You go into one room, you go into the next room, and each room gets more intense. Before you know it, you're having a big orgy right in the middle. Man, woman, beast. Yes, beast. You have no idea. And people come against me for speaking against Halloween because they dress up. I don't want to see it. It just reminds me of what's coming. I know every time I start talking and going deep into this stuff, I had a lot of people, I actually had a few people that I talked to, and they said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. That life, are you kidding me? You're so far down in sin. The very things I'm telling you is what you're going to see. But what part of the power of Jesus, the forgiveness, he can forgive me, and that's why I said if he can forgive me, he can forgive anybody. So many people come against what Lucifer really stands for. People take it for granted because he's not in full power yet. God help you all if you're left here when he is. You'll be dealing with them demons. You'll be dealing with every square inch of that man. I think I'm going to stop. I'm going to do a part 2 to this. I just need to, because I'm getting ready to get into some other parts, and I just want to clear my thoughts. And I mean, it truly is hard, people. And I don't even care, really. I don't even care who says what. At least you're honest. I know what I lived. I know what I've been through, and I know what I've done. And I'm not proud of any of it. But when you're a young boy, scared, living on the streets, and the things that was happening to you on the streets, this place was better. Hopefully some of you are really going to think about your life and some of the people you got in your life. That's why I can say when people say, I can't believe you say that about your children. You know, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't love them. It's the fact that I pray for them. It's the fact I'm tired of the hurt. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of hearing all this stuff. You know, one thing Jesus taught me, I'm a somebody. You know, when you go to heaven, you get a new name. And I told Jesus, I don't want a name. I don't want to be renamed. He says, what do you mean? I don't want a name. Because here, I'm just a nobody. And then Casting Crowns came out with that song, I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody about somebody that saved my soul. And that's Jesus Christ. I don't want a name. So Jesus gave me the name He. That will be my name. I don't even feel worthy enough to go to the kingdom side. That's why I picked the garden. Because that's my peace. People don't believe there's animals there, but you'll see it if you go there. If not, you'll see the demons. Either way, you don't have to believe me, but you're going to believe me whichever way you go. But I hope for a split moment that you're able to come there and I'm able to recognize you or hear you and eventually meet you face to face, and you're going to go, Nelson, I doubt it. But I still did enough to get here. Well, let me give you a grand tour of the garden and the animals before you go and get washed and become made new in heaven and get your new name in your robe. I know the animals are there. And some days that's the only love I have. See, people don't understand when they say stuff about you and they break you down. All my life I've been broken. I just can't wait till I leave here so I don't have to be in pain no more. Yes, Jesus forgives me. Yes, Jesus heals me. But as long as Lucifer is free, I have to do what I have to do. I'm not afraid to die, people, because I won't die no more. I'm going to go on and I'm going to live in heaven. I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. But I'm so glad that that man went to the cross, paid his life, so I don't have to go back to them evil places. It's real. The very things that I'm telling you is just a scratch of it. So when you're playing around, playing these games, and you're playing with nonsense, and you even mocking of the things and pretending or even speaking that you're doing it or you're not doing it, all you're doing is walking a pathway into hell's gates. So, I guess I'll see you on part 2, right? May God bless you. Keep you safe. I pray for you and your families and your loved ones that are trapped in this demonic realm, that are bound with chains, that are living a sinful life. May God reach them somehow to spare them for what's waiting. Till part 2.